Hello and welcome to the Objective Side. The minority leader, Alexander Afenyo Makin, has raised concern about President John Dramani Mahama's commitment to capping the number of ministers at 60, cautioning that such a limit may undermine the efficiency and effectiveness of government operations. During a debate on the approval of ministerial nominees on Thursday, January 23rd, Afenyo Makin highlighted the potential challenges of managing government affairs with a restricted number of appointees. He urged that while reducing the size of the cabinet might seem appealing, it could lead to practical difficulties in executing government policies and addressing complex national issues. He remarked, "When we make mistakes, let's admit them and apologize. System ministers will not help your political cause."
When we make mistakes, let's admit them and apologize. 60 ministers will not help your political cause. But when civil society comes out with the narrative, as if everything is done by the political class, instead of us boldly explaining to them the intricacies of politics, then we also fall for the trap and we make political commitment. I don't doubt the competence of Honorable Ahmed Ibrahim, but that huge ministry, local government, and chieftaincy, all these conflicts, the behind the scenes, negotiations for peace, and local governance. Mr. Speaker, I am not the president, but if I were to advise Mr. President, I would say, Mr. President, you can apologize to Ghanaians and say, look, you underestimated the thing. I think I need to engage more ministers. Because, Mr. Speaker, we cannot allow this. And the civil servant, what people have forgotten is that as you put two ministries together, the staffers are the same. All the civil servants who are there, they remain same. And then you say only one minister to supervise and monitor. Things will soon get out of hand and you take the collateral damage. And then they say there's corruption.
The promise to reduce the number of ministers was one of the central pledges of President John Dramani Mahama during his election campaign, a promise that resonated with many Ghanaians who were eager to see a more streamlined and cost-effective government. If the president were to reverse his decision now, it could raise questions about his consistency and political integrity, particularly so early in his second term. Such a move could be perceived as undermining the trust of the electorate who supported him on the basis of his commitment to reforms and fiscal responsibility. At the same time, it is crucial to recognize that President John Dramani Mahama's extensive experience, gained from his journey from grassroots politics to the highest office in the land, gives him a well-rounded perspective on the complexities of governance. Having navigated through the intricacies of running a country, he is acutely aware of the demands placed on the executive and the need for a robust and functional cabinet. Therefore, the decision to limit the number of ministers must be carefully considered, keeping in mind the balance between reducing government spending and maintaining sufficient leadership capacity. While the reduction in the number of ministers was hailed by some as a positive step toward cutting wasteful government expenditure and improving efficiency, others urged that further cuts could still be feasible. There is a view that a more compact government structure with a smaller number of well-qualified ministers could achieve better results without compromising the government's ability to deliver on its mandate. In fact, some believe that having a leaner cabinet will encourage a more focused and results-oriented approach to governance. On the other hand, it is equally important to weigh the potential downside of further reducing the number of ministers. A smaller cabinet might lead to a heavy concentration of responsibilities, putting too much strain on individual ministers, which could ultimately affect the quality of decision-making and implementation of policies. Additionally, the financial burden of maintaining a large number of ministers should not be overlooked. A larger cabinet will require more financial resources for salaries, allowances, and logistics support, further straining the national budget. Moreover, the possibility of duplicating roles or creating confusion over ministerial duties could result in inefficiencies, ultimately complicating governance rather than simplifying it. In conclusion, while reducing the number of ministers was a sound promise by John Dramani Mahama and an appealing prospect for many Ghanaians, it is essential to consider the practicality of such a move. Striking the right balance between cost-cutting and maintaining effective governance will be crucial for the success of the administration. While fiscal responsibility is important, the effectiveness of government operation must remain the priority to ensure that the country's challenges are met with the appropriate leadership and resources. Careful thought and strategic decision making will be needed as President Mahama moves forward with this pledge.